Welcome to the Woman to Woman show, where we believe truth plus transparency equals healing. Welcome to another night. We just come together and have real talks with real women, with real issues, real solutions, real support, and real love. So we come in every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we start with a moment of gratitude. Gratitude in the chat. We will read it, we'll share it on the screen. So let's go around the room, ladies. And what is one thing you are grateful for tonight? Whoever wants to start, come on in.
I am grateful today for simply just living, period. Breath in my lungs, my limbs are working. As you prayed earlier, being able to do things for myself. So I'm grateful to God.
Amen. I know that's right. Come on in, ladies.
Yeah, the same. I am just grateful for life. I am grateful for family. I am grateful for friends. I am grateful for love.
Amen. Amen. Come on in, Theo. You're on mute. You're on mute.
I said, I am grateful that I know God and that I know that He rules.
I know that's right. I am grateful for you ladies coming on tonight and us being able to pour into the world through the Woman to Woman show and just share our experiences and just be able to have this platform and bring positivity to the world, because we are in a world where there's a lot of negative things going on, a lot of negative media, a lot of negative programming, and I'm just glad that we come here every week to spread some cheer. So let's get started. First of all, I want to thank Sheila for our topic tonight, because we talked and she really had this on her heart. She was like, we need to talk about accountability, and not just accountability in intimate relationships. We need to talk about accountability amongst friends, family, and people. And I was just really happy that she brought this up, because it brought to remembrance to me, bad company corrupts good character. So it is so important who's in your ear, right? It's so important. So when we talk about accountability, let's go here first, ladies. So I want to talk to mothers, sisters, aunties, cousins, best female friends, and holding the men in our lives accountable, right? Because when a man in our life is not accountable to the people around him, people get hurt. And many times we excuse our loved ones, our sons, our uncles, our brothers, because they're our sons, our uncles, and our brothers, and they're doing things that they had no business doing. And I'm speaking from my childhood experience of growing up with my mom and her brother coming to the house, and it was different women, and it was just normal for them. So along the process, there were kids who got hurt. There were kids who didn't get what they needed. And I'm not blaming my mom or my uncle, but we have to change that dynamic. So come on in, ladies, and talk a little bit about holding the men in your life accountable and not just your man.
Well, I don't know if necessarily. Well, first of all, the men in my life consists of my dad, my brothers, my nephews. They're much younger, my nephews.
This is a great to hold them accountable.
Yeah. I kind of ask questions. And I kind of learned that from you, Trey. I just ask questions that may be related to whatever situation they may be involved in that I may be aware of, because they don't tell me everything. So whatever subject that I'm aware of that they may be going through, I kind of ask questions. I don't, come out and say, well, you should do X, Y, and Z. I just ask questions. And hopefully, they will mull over those questions and come up with an answer that will assist them in whatever situation they're dealing with. But there is one thing I do want to say in regards to my father and accountability. I have two additional brothers. And the youngest brother that I found out about, my dad told us about him when I was around, I think, 13 or 14. And he told us at that age because he felt that at that age we would be able to understand about this brother. And so I know that he's always taken responsibility for his actions, whatever those actions may be. And he would share, he would let us know, like like I said, he told us about this brother um, when he felt that we were of an age to understand and comprehend, that we had another brother other than what we grew up with. So I felt that my father was always someone that was accountable for his behavior and his actions.
That's great. That is awesome. That's awesome. Let's bring Sheila back in. And I just learned from my experiences, like I said, of growing up, that I always want to hold my sons accountable to the women who are in their life, right? I want to hold them accountable for the decisions that they're making, because in families where we grew up, where you didn't hold people accountable, you just mind your business, things went awry because you weren't supposed to say anything, right? And people talk about generational curses. I don't necessarily believe in generational curses. I believe that some patterns have been set before us. I believe some bad habits have been put in place, some dysfunctional things that became normal. That's what I believe. So I choose to hold the men in my life accountable to a higher standard of not minding my business. I'm not going to mind my business. I'm not going to be all in everybody's business, but you can't bring, just for an example, nobody's done this, but you can't bring another woman to my house if you have a woman that I know about. I'm not going to disrespect that woman, right? You can't be doing stuff. You can't be on drugs and alcohol and doing things that are detrimental to your health. And I'm just sitting around saying, well, he's grown, I'm going to mind my business. If it's detrimental to someone's health, I believe as women, sisters, men, we should all want to hold that person accountable to say that I expect better from you, right? You're better than not in a condescending way or talking down to somebody, but to say you're better than that. You are so much. You got so much more to offer than that, and people will listen. So we get into this mode of I'm gonna mind my business. They're grown. That's not the way we should be. So growing up, I watched this, and I watched how detrimental it was to the children who were involved. I watched how detrimental it was to our family, and I refuse to do that anymore. And I refuse to talk generational curses when all we have to do is hold each other accountable and make better choices.
Mm-hmm. You know what I always think about? The scenario that comes up with, oh, what happens if you're out and you see your girlfriend's man with another woman? Do you go back and tell her? Or you see, your friend's wife with another woman, do you go back and tell him? And it just surprised me that a lot of people will say, no, I won't tell him. And when I used to tell people that, no, I'm going to say something, they used to be surprised that I would actually take that approach. And I know oftentimes what happens too is that the person who may be cheated on, right, will get mad at you for bringing that information to them. And then that might sever your relationship with that person, because now they're mad with you. They're breaking off their friendship with you, but they're still with that partner who is not being 100% truthful to them. But at the end of the day, I look at it and say that, it is my responsibility. I think I have a duty to let you know what I saw. What you do with that information is on you. Because at the same time, I also believe that things are going to happen to bring stuff to light. So whether I tell you what's going on or something else happens, it's going to happen eventually, especially if you already have an inkling. But I think that we all have some type of responsibility. Now, don't get me wrong. If it's an acquaintance, somebody that I don't know, that I'm not really familiar with, am I going to say anything? More than likely not. Okay. But somebody that I genuinely care about, if I see something, I'm going to say something.
That's the rule. If you see something, say something. And like, again, like you said, Sheila, so many people say, oh, I wouldn't say nothing because the person's going to be mad. That's okay. They'll be mad. But if it's somebody who's really close to you, they will really be angry when everything comes to light and they find out that you knew. So I'm in a place in my life where I love people enough to tell them the truth, right? I love a person enough for them to let me go for a season, but I refuse to sit and watch someone who I care about getting ready to walk off of a cliff, and I know that the cliff is coming, and I'm just like, let me mind my business because she'll probably get mad at me. So I totally agree with you. Listen, I'm not no rat, no snitch, or nothing. But if you put me in that position where you know that I know your wife, where you know that I know your girlfriend, and you put yourself in a position to be out somewhere publicly and I see you, all I'm saying is whoever watching, if
Can
I
I?
saw and I see you, I'm gonna say something. If you see something, say something. Go ahead, Shayla.
I just want to add to that what I would probably do first is let that person know that I saw them. I walk. Hi, how are you? So so basically giving you an opportunity to come clean with my friend before I go to my friend. So I'm gonna let you know I see you. Okay, just I'm gonna give you an opportunity, but just know that, and like Sheila said, it has to be a situation, a circumstance that this is somebody that I deeply care about and that is my friend. Because I've been in a situation where I was the one being cheated on, and people knew, they didn't tell me because of that same reason. They thought that I wouldn't believe them, when in fact I would have, because there were things that were already happening. So if they had came to me at that time, it would have spared me some additional, heartache. But nevertheless, we weren't that close at that time. So maybe that's why they didn't come to me. But yeah, I would add just that one thing. Let them know I see you.
I would do the same thing. And you're right. And it would be on the pretenses, look, yeah, I see you. So are you going to tell her, or am I going to tell her?
And who is that?
Am
That would
I
be my
yeah.
who that?
Am I going to tell him that you're out here like this, or are you going to tell him that you're out here like this? Oh, and by the way, my name is
Right.
how are you doing? So I'm running the full gamut.
Yeah, who that? That's what I'm looking at. You see, you like, because maybe it's not what we think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you see somebody, you just say, who that?
Exactly. Hey, look, who are you? Oh, his wife is one of my great friends. Oh yeah. You know what? I've been friends with her husband for years.
I love that.
Theo, did you want to say something?
I was gonna say along the lines of what both Shayla and Sheila said. Like, I will normally make it known. Like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Like, where's so and so? Just let it be known. And as it relates to like the men in my family, I think for the most part, a lot of me and my male cousins are pretty close, so we talk, right? And so it's not a problem for me to ask them a question, or have dialogue with them and tell them how I feel about something, and us to even just discuss it and debate it, right? I have one cousin, like, we debate everything to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm tired of talking to you, right? But so I would say I'm fortunate in that, but also I am also one, kind of like what you said, Trey. I'm not going to condone the behavior. So even if we have a conversation and you continue to do it, like, no judgment. I'm not going to toss you out of my life because you're my family. But no, you're not going to be that person's not going to be invited into my house, me knowing that you have a wife or a girlfriend or whatever, right? So I'm going to set the boundaries around how I'm going to deal with the situation.
Yes. Do you think that silence is condoning? Because a lot of times we don't say anything to the person who is actually doing something. We don't say anything. We'll go talk to somebody else about it, but we'll see the poor behavior, and being silent is like, for me, that's saying that the behavior is okay with me. If I don't have a conversation with that person, like, if I saw Theo doing something wrong and I didn't have a conversation with Theo, and I'm with Theo and she's doing something that I don't necessarily agree with, and I don't say anything to her, I would think in her mind, why would she think this is wrong if Trey's still rolling with me? So is silence condoning a person's poor behavior? Are you co-signing that behavior? What do you guys think?
I don't know if you're co-signing it, but I think it's kind of a slippery slope because you're actually setting yourself up, I believe, to maybe possibly at some point be to receive the same treatment from the person, right? I think it may make the person believe that you are okay with their behavior, right? Which makes them feel like them doing it. So for me, especially if it's something that I don't agree with, I kind of have to let the person know, because for me, it's kind of a way of setting boundaries, right? To let somebody know that that's something that I'm not cool with or I can tolerate, right?
Right.
Meaning that if we're out, like, for me, I have a different way of managing situations, right? I'm not the one that's going to get loud and boisterous or whatever. I could literally facial expressions or with a general tone shut it down, right? And so, I will have to set the tone. Like, I'll have to be like, yo, let's stop, chill, like this, like back off, right? Like, I'm not the one that's going to be quick to fight and all of that stuff. So I do think it's necessary to set boundaries so people know what's acceptable to you and what's not acceptable to you.
Hey, Netta.
Hey, Netta.
Hey, y'all.
Go ahead, Sheila.
I also think a lot of people find it difficult to confront and correct, especially if one person, particularly the person that may be doing wrong, is the more domineering person.
Woo.
So finding your voice, even within a good friendship or a great relationship or familyship, right? Sometimes is extremely difficult, and it could be something from the history. You don't say anything because you want to keep the peace, because you know what's going to happen, because you've seen other examples, that if you say something, it's going to cause a big hullabaloo. So it's just, you don't accept it, you don't condone what they're doing, you're not a party to it, but you'd rather not say anything. Or, it could be because of that person is just just a strong personality, you wouldn't know how to say it to them, and wouldn't be prepared for any fallout that may come from it. So, for the most part, I would like to think on the surface that if you're not saying anything, you're part of it. But it just really depends on the person. And I'm hoping that by us having this conversation, we're letting people know to say, hey, it's okay. Because at the end of the day, if someone gets mad at you for telling them that they're doing wrong, then you have to stock into who you're around. Are they really that important in your life? Because clearly your morals don't match up.
Woo, that is so good, Sheila. I'm just saying that it is hard to have hard conversations when people are doing wrong. But we've been not having the hard conversations for so long that the world right now, to me, is upside down. Good is bad and bad is good. Right now, like, people are just condoning people's behavior by not saying anything. There's a lot going on in this world right now based on the fact that people are like, well, I'm not going to say nothing, even in the churches, because we're not going to have butts and seats. So we're not going to talk about the real things in the Bible that we're supposed to be telling people, so that they have to save them from themselves, so they can get salvation, so they can be forgiven. Tomorrow's not promised, and we're not having these hard conversations based on fear. Like, God did not give us the spirit of fear. So I am in a season in my life right now where I'm not saying to people like, oh, look at you, you should be doing this and you should be doing that, or attacking people. But I love the people enough around me to lose them for a season to save them from themselves. And I want people in my life, all of y'all, my core, the people who I allow in my space, I expect the same from them. I expect that they would. What is it? John 15:13. There's no greater love than to lay down your life for a friend.
Mhm.
You can correct me and risk losing me. That shows me that you would lay your life down for me to tell me the truth, to save me from myself. Because all of us have a sensible person in us, and all of us have a fool in us. All of us have dark in us, and all of us have light in us. And sometimes somebody, you need to have that person in your corner that will say, Netta, no, I'm sorry, you did it wrong. And girl, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And if I don't talk to you tomorrow, I'll talk to you in 2 days. But get over it. And if you don't want to talk to me no more, I'm cool with that. But no, you're not about to cheat on your husband. Not saying that you would, but I'm saying that as we look at women who are in our circles and men who are in our spaces who we don't say this to. And these are the things that are destroying families because somebody always knows. There is a girlfriend who knows that this woman is sleeping with somebody's husband. There is a sister who knows that her brother is cheating on his wife. It is our moral responsibility to say, yo, I expect better of you. You better than that. And I don't accept this behavior from you. And if you don't want to speak to me for a while, that is okay. I'm not going to go amongst the family and talk about you behind your back like we've been taught to do for so many years. Or we at so-and-so sleeping with this person doing that. No, I chose to come to you and tell you. So if you're mad at me because you love what the other dysfunctional folks are doing, I'll talk to you when you get over it.
Mm.
Come on.
This is so good. I'm sitting here eating all these nuggets up myself. Y'all are dropping some great nuggets and wisdom. It is so true. I was listening as Sheila was speaking. Situations can be very difficult. And as you were sharing, Trey, there's so many things that you have to weigh when you decide to speak up or not to speak up. Timing is important. Is it the time to say something? Is it not? So, just being wise in how you move about it. But I don't think silence is always the best option either. Just choosing when to speak to that person, not whether you will or not.
Oh, I love that. Shayla, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, because for me, sometimes those conversations are difficult to make. But my actions are really what end up being the voice or my voice. And eventually, if I'm asked, well, how come you haven't been around? How come and then I would say, well, I don't agree with what you all are doing. And I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I know that's not what I'm about. So I chose to separate myself. Nothing personal. You do you. It's perfectly fine what you choose to do. But for me personally, and like Netta said, the circumstances need to be weighed. But I know in the past, and I can't really speak to it right now because I have not been in that situation. But I know in the past, my actions were my words. If that makes sense.
Yes, girl. Yes. Don't bring that to my door. No, that's real talk, Shayla. That's real talk. Like, I'm not telling y'all what to do. And sometimes the person's not going to stop. And I call that tough love when you separate yourself from people because they're not ready to hear. You have to have that discernment that I know it's for y'all doing this and it's one of me. So y'all go ahead. When I see you, I see you. I love you. Hello. Hey, what's up? But I'm not going to go down that path with you. I'm not going to be silent. I'm not going to do what you want me to do. But if you ask me why, I'm more than okay with saying your behavior doesn't line up with where I'm going. Theo, you wanted to say something?
And I was going to say, I think it's key that you're okay, right, with separating yourself, because at the end of the day, you have to decide at what point you want to sacrifice your integrity, right, for just to hold on to, because for me, the people in my circle, in my core, like who are tight, right? We hold each other accountable, right? Even if we get upset, right, at the minute, it's okay for someone to check me, right? And I might have to go for a minute and step back and be in my feelings or whatever, but then acknowledge, right, that check was needed,
Mm.
right? But then I also need to be able to check myself, right? And I need to ask myself the question, is me condoning this behavior? Is me sitting back silently making them think it's okay? Is it me inviting this person in the house that I know is sleeping with somebody else? What is that going to do to my integrity? What is that going to do to my conscience? What is that going to take away from me? Right. And so I think something we have to check ourselves and figure out if we want to put all of that weight on top of ourselves, because that's a weight.
Right. But like
you holding on to something you don't agree with, you holding on to this secret, you agonizing about when it's going to come to light, and like all of this stuff, you adding all this extra stress and pressure on yourself that doesn't need to be there.
That don't belong to you. But like you said before, Theo, yesterday, I think when we were talking about the Dunkin Donuts, and you know, the person said it was $5, and when you got to the window, the person said it was $9. When you got to the window, the guy said it was $5, and you could have drove up, but your integrity and your character said no. The guy at the window said it was $9. He's like, oh, thank you, because like you said, if nobody else don't see me, God see me. God sees me condoning my best friend sleeping with somebody's husband. God see covering for my brother. God see me at the end of the day. If I drop dead tomorrow, God gonna say, hey, your brother was at the house with old girl yesterday. Like, you was good with that? You ain't say nothing. You didn't do nothing. You didn't say nothing. You just sat there. Like, and people, I have a very vivid imagination. So whenever I'm in a circumstance or a situation, I always think that I'm walking up to the gate. And God is like, hey, I saw you. You didn't do what I thought you would do. Like, what happened? Like, you had the opportunity and you didn't do it. So I want people who are listening to understand that just because nobody else knows, when you're covering somebody's dirt or you allow people to bring dirt to your door, God sees you. And that says a lot about the content of your character to him, nobody else. And like Theo said, looking in that mirror and trying to sleep at night, and you will sleep some nights, but some nights you will toss and turn because that Holy Spirit will be on your neck. So, and again, we need people, and we have to learn how to give people permission to correct us. I don't want people around me who are yes men. I don't want people around me who condone my poor behavior. I don't want somebody to go with me to a restaurant and I'm nasty to the waiter and Netta don't pull my coattail and say, Trey, it's so you don't know what her day was like today. You don't know what's going on in her life. You real rude to this waitress. And I'm like Theo said, I might get a little salty with you for a second, like, well, she's slow, or she spilled a drink, or she did, or whatever the case may be. But I need people in my circle to bring me back, to say that you worse than her for treating her like that. You know, so I do not want to have people around me that will not love me enough to save me when I am not, or pray for me, right? When I'm not smart enough to save myself, or I'm not smart enough to do the right thing, or I'm in a position of I'm vulnerable, I'm lonely, right? Women who sleep with other people's husbands, you know, sleeping with somebody's husband, there's a reason behind that. She might be vulnerable or lonely or desperate or feel the need for revenge because it happened to her. I need my girls, right? I need Sheila to pick the phone up or sit me down and say, no, I don't care if you're lonely. We're here for you. But people, this is what I want people to stop saying too. I'm just going to mind my business. If you're going to mind your business at the detriment of my well-being, I damn sure don't need you in my life. I just don't. If you go mind, you do need to mind your business. You don't need to be all up in everybody's business, everybody. But if you know something that's detrimental to somebody's life, and you call yourself their friend and you don't call them out, that's not your friend. And anybody that's listening, if you have a girlfriend right now, and I'm gonna call y'all out, because y'all know I'm the hashtag no side chicken queen. To every woman on here, you have a best friend, because I know you know, because we tell our best friends everything. Or somebody if you are the person who knows the dirty little secret, you are accountable, and you're just as bad as the person that's doing it. If you have not said nothing, if you have not said anything to that person to say, yo, you know, you should not be doing this. And again, we can't tell adults what to do. But if you have not told your best friend, girl, you better than that. What's wrong with you? You need to get yourself out of that situation. And until you do, I don't want to be around you. That's called tough love. I'm going to save you from yourself. And if it's your real girl, it's going to sting her. Maybe not that day or that week, but it's going to sting her when you're not around. So make sure you have people around you who love you enough to show you tough love to let you go.
And I will say that honestly to people out there listening too, right? Like it comes with growth. Because there was a time in my life, right? My younger self, yo, that's their business. That's my girl. Like I'm just gonna kind of like be under the shadows, be silent, not say anything, like you asked earlier, right? So I'm not saying like was I like that always? No, right? But as I began to grow and see things, and then I was like, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. Like if that was happening to me, like I would want somebody to tell me, right? And so when you start thinking like that, you then start thinking like, I'm gonna take the risk, right? They might be mad, they might not be happy with me. It might mean that for a season, we are not going to be friends anymore, but I'm not going to say I was always like that. So I just, I always like to do the disclaimer, right? Because I don't want people to think, that, I've been running around like, walking on water. No, I'm not, right? Like, I think everything with me has been growth, right? Everything with me has been getting to a place of being comfortable, having that voice, right? And taking that risk.
Platforms. It's like somebody right now is listening. Because nobody's telling the best friend. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have these platforms that somebody would say, you should tell your best friend that she ain't right. But we have these platforms all over the place right now. So Theo, it did take growth for us and experience outside of the world of cyber. We didn't have life coaches when we were coming up. We didn't have access to different things. Like we didn't know, therapy was normal. We thought therapy was, you go to therapy, you crazy. But we have all of these avenues of support and help, and like platforms like this with us having real world talk. If you're listening right now, this is your growth moment. If you're 22 years old and you're listening right now, this is your growth moment. Nobody was there to give us the growth moment at 22, 25, 36, 38, 40. We didn't have this. Sheila, you wanted to say something?
Right. It's, we're doing this now because we now know better.
Yes.
And like what Theo was saying, you have to, your growth grows through stages, right? So God is expecting you to grow, number one, but your parents, whether they're still with you, they're expecting you to grow. Even if they didn't know any better, even if they're the ones that are doing wrong and you may need to hold them accountable. The expectation of yourself is that you are going to know and do better because you've learned from your past experiences what's right, what's wrong, what makes you hurt, what makes you cry, what makes you laugh, what makes you love. And then from there, you also learn that that's what you have to spread. You have to be infectious to other people.
I love that. And open your mouth. Netta, you want to say something?
Yes, a few things. As I'm listening, I'm thinking about how deep and important relationships are. And there is such thing as being unequally yoked in friendship. So, listening to, the friend who may be engaging in some behaviors that would totally rock, the foundation of a friendship. The integrity is huge for me. As you know, we talk about strengths, the Gallup strengths. My anchor strength is responsibility. That is all about integrity, loyalty, and honesty. So that's the part of my DNA. Anything outside of that is unsettling. It will literally make me sick. I literally will have a physical response to something that is adverse to how I operate and how I feel. So now that there is an awareness, there comes that accountability piece. You are accountable not only to God, but to you and those that are in your circle. This is about being integrous together. If you all are not integrous together, what type of friendship? That's unequally yoked in friendship. How do you move forward in that? So you don't lose love for the person because they made some poor choices, but there has to be accountability. Once there's awareness, something has to be said and change behaviors. Or as Shayla says, there's a season of separation for me.
Yeah, sometimes you got to give that space. Sometimes you got to give that space.
But I think we've all have said, right? It gets to a level. Part of that growth is being accountable to yourself, having a moral compass or a foundation for what is acceptable for you as you live your life, right? So what are the things you will tolerate and what are the things you won't tolerate that go against your moral fiber, right? And like Netta, for me, honesty, integrity, right? Those are core traits. Loyalty, right? And because I'm loyal to a fault, I will tell you, I had to work on that, right? Being loyal to people you shouldn't be loyal to, right? But at the end of the day, as you look at the things that are important to you, as you really sit down and look at like your values, right? You have to see how the people that you're engaging with, how that lines up with your values. And then you have to make a determination on how you're going to categorize those people in your life. Some may be in the balcony, some may be in the middle section, some may be in the front row, some may be outside the stadium. Right? But you have to categorize with how people are you're gonna let people engage with you in your life, because that is the thing that you can control.
Yes. And this is for me, if you don't question someone's questionable behavior, you become questionable to me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you don't question somebody's questionable behavior, and I'm sitting there like, that's questionable, and then you don't have a problem with it, you are now on a questionable list of people for me. And I'm looking at you with a side eye because, as Theo would say, you took the Dunkin Donut money and you knew that boy register was going to come up short. So what else would you do if it's beneficial to you? And I have a problem with that. And we talked a little bit about that last night. Of once you know what a person is capable of, good and bad, you place them in certain places. But people, one thing we have to understand is people cannot change and grow without accountability. If somebody cannot gently course correct you or hold you accountable to your actions, you're not going to grow. And if you are a person who is into growth and development, you have the right to put space between people on this side. I just chill with you at the cookout, at the family cookout. But these my people over here, because on Sunday nights we have masterminds. On every first Monday of the month we get together, we reading books, we listening, we doing personal growth and development. We hold each other accountable when we come to these sessions. Whenever we could jump on to do something that's productive in our lives, we do that. So when you doing stuff that's questionable, that's not growing you, that's not developing you, and you don't like accountability, and you're not like-minded, and I don't want to roll with you. So we're going to jump into our therapy part, because I know Netta looking at me because it's 8:40, and we do it at 8:30. So do you have it with you, Netta? Okay, so come on in.
I did. So Again, this is our therapy card. It's from the wonderful Dr. Ebony. She is a psychologist, and you can go to mytherapycards.com to gain access to these. So our card for tonight is, what would your life look like if you changed the habits that no longer work?
Mm.
What would your life look like if you changed the habits that no longer work? And the task is identify the things that would be different about you and your life if this was the case.
Ooh, ooh. This
Can
habit.
you read that again?
What would your life look like if you changed the habits that no longer work?
Ooh, my life. You know what? I gotta say, and I'm not perfect. So please, nobody don't inbox me, text me, or nothing. I'm not perfect, but there's not a lot of habits in my life that are affecting me in a negative way anymore. Because of course we're working on this every single day as a whole, as a group. We're working on the things that are not working for us, so we're mindful of it. But I see from the habits that I've taken out of my life that were not working for me, how wonderful my life is. Right. One habit I have though that I do need to grow in away from is my phone. Right. I have a habit of I automatically pick my phone up, and my fingers automatically go to certain apps because when you do so, it's a habit. And I'm like, I didn't even open that, right? I'm like, well, not even interested, but it's a habit. That's one area that I'm working on, and I'm catching myself now. Like, your finger just went straight to Facebook, or your finger just went straight to Instagram. Your finger just went straight to YouTube because I'm working on them so often. And I'm like, that's not good for you, right? When you pick your phone up and you don't even have to look at your phone, you automatically can touch an app on your phone. I tell myself in that moment, you're doing too much. You ever just pick your phone up and you're like, oh, what? So that's one thing. But I'm so aware of the bad habits that I've had in the past that I'm glad that we work together every week. I mean, every month to make sure we're growing, developing, and aware of who we are and what we're doing. Come on in, ladies. Don't be scared.
So the habit that I think no longer works for me, hasn't worked, is connected to actually a strength of mine, and it's achiever. I put a lot on my plate, and it's not necessarily working in all areas because, life is about finding balance. And so achiever, sometimes the balcony of that is great, but the basement it takes away the balance in life.
Mm.
So that's something that's a daily, I have to be aware of it daily to be mindful. Because it's like, when you bowl the ball down the alley, if it gets in the gutter, it's just gonna stay in that gutter. You can't get it out. And so it's a habit because that's my default, is to just go. So
Yeah.
being aware of that is something I'm definitely working on.
Yes.
So I would say kind of two. One is what Trey talked about, and that's a new habit that I'm like, that's why sometimes I don't respond to some of because I'm trying not to go on, because I find that once I go on, it's like a wormhole. So like Trey, I tell myself, okay, no, stop. You going away from what you're supposed to be working on right now. You went on for this, do this, and get off.
Yes.
The other habit though that I've had for I think most of my life is doubting myself.
Wow.
Is doubting myself, and find that now that I doubt myself less because I've been working on my relationship with God, and making sure that I'm hearing from him. So if I have a question about something, then I was like, okay, Lord, you need to what am I supposed to do here? And and take that route rather than doubt myself. And he speaks to me in different ways, and a lot of times through children and young adults.
I love that.
I don't know if that's because I don't have any kids and know that that was one of my desires, but that's how he talks to me many times. But yeah, it would be doubting myself. That was, and once I stopped doing that, or I'm still working on it, I'm not totally there yet, but I would say about 90% there. Yeah, a lot better, and I'm more confident in certain things. So yeah.
I love that. I love that, Shayla. And I love that he talks to you through young people because you have a passion for young people. You hear them. Like some people love old people. Some people love senior citizens.
Yeah, no, they
I,
keep me young.
yeah, some people love senior citizens, but that he knows that you're in tune with them because
Yeah.
it's a passion of yours to help them. So he helps you through the very people that you love to help. So that is amazing. Sheila or Theo?
Well, for me, it's doing what I want to do versus doing what I should do.
Oh,
I've gotten into a bad habit, and it could be getting on the phone, just scrolling too, thinking I got 5 minutes, and that 5 minutes is now turned into 10. Getting up out of bed because it's Saturday. I worked hard all week. I can stay in bed a little bit longer. And then I got to jump out of bed because there was something that I told myself that I needed to get done at a certain time. And now I'm not going to make it there on time. Um, and it's just something that I have convinced myself that, after all of these years, I earn the right to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And then I end up kicking myself because had I just gotten up 5 minutes earlier, I wouldn't have missed that. Had I started cleaning the house at 8 a.m. versus 2 p.m., I would have gotten through every single room, So that is my one habit that I know I have to break.
yep. Because how different would your life be if you just did that? That is hilarious. You crack me up, Sheila, but I love that. That was so good. Because you stepping on toes right now. Come on in,
It,
Theo.
it's true.
You're muted, Theo.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, what is the habit? Because all of these could probably be what the habits. I mean, I think I've been working on so much stuff over the last 2 years that I really, in a lot of places are better, right? Like with the doubt and with the phone, right? Like, because I'm not at night. I find everything to do but go to bed at the time I say I'm going to go to bed, right? So that's a habit I've been working on. But I would say, and I don't even know if this is a habit, but it's something that I really have to work on because the way it would change my life, it will continue to get me towards that goal of having peace and harmony is not thinking that people are going to be like me and treat me as I treat them, right? And so when things happen or like people do something to me or speak ill of me and I know it's not true, right? It's that making sure my mental doesn't go to the place where I just want to be like, like I just get in a mood, right? Because I want to like be like, what, right? And so I would say that's something that I've really been working on because I know, because I have to say, you know who you are.
Yes.
You know your character, you know your heart. And so not to let that thing, that person, that ethics complaint, right? That is foolish. Excuse my language, right? Affect your mood. Right. I would say that's a habit that I really, because I mean, and I think it's something I've been working on a long time because I had a mentor a long time ago say to me, everybody's not going to do things the way you do them. Right. Yes. But that also extends to everybody's not going to treat you the way you treat them.
I love that.
Right. And so I think that's something I really had to work on because one of my main goals right now in life is creating a life of harmony, peace,
Yes.
right? Like, and so I'm trying to practice. Like, if you came into my house right now, you probably be like, "What the hell is wrong with this girl?" Because every wall possible, there's a affirmation or a saying or something that when I wake up in the morning, it reminds me to set my mind in a way that I can just maintain as best as possible peace for that day.
That's it. I love this. This is so good. Thank you, Dr. Ebony, when you're listening, if you're listening, that because we really appreciate your guidance, because sometimes we just need guidance to be able to ask ourselves some inner questions that we may not think about. And I just love that all of us here, and if any woman on here is interested, we have a membership site, anewyouNation.com. Go check it out, anewyouNation.com, where we are constantly doing the work on ourselves. Individually and collectively, we come together and we hold each other accountable to a higher standard of living. We push each other, we motivate each other to know that there is nothing that you can't do. You can start that business. You can write that book. You can be a CEO. You can get promoted at your job. You can get up in the morning 30 minutes earlier. You can drink more water. These are things that we actually do. We are all drinking more water with Netta because Netta wanted to drink more water. So we come together to support each other. Look at that. And we drink Fiji water. Okay? So because Netta got us on, Netta know about water. Netta check the water out for us. Netta said, don't drink that water. That you might just go drink some toilet water if you drink that water, because that water ain't nothing but toilet water. So, but we do come together, and I'm so glad with these habits to even consider that we don't have habits that are detrimental to our health. Because along this journey, I had some really bad habits. And to think that I could not sit here and think of a number of habits that I need to change and that I'm aware of the things that I need to change is such growth and development for all of us. So we're going to get back to the accountability piece because we have a few more minutes. So I want to go around the room and I want to get some final thoughts on bad company corrupts good character, and where do we go, and what would you like to say to anybody who's listening about accountability? It doesn't have to be the men, it doesn't have to be women. Just what would you like to say to anybody that's listening right now? Anybody can go first.
I'll go.
I would like to say, I'm sorry. I would like to say, think about it in a broader way, right? Not just family, not just intimate relationships, but even when it comes to, and I'm speaking to myself right now, right? Even when it comes to the place you choose to work at, right? Um, you have to think about the character of the people that you are around. And if any of whatever it's seen, if it's work, if it's home, if it's church, if it's wherever, right? You have to think about how that is going to impact one, not only your integrity and your moral fiber, but how that's going to impact your peace. So I would say, like, when you think about who you allow to be in your space, because that's the thing, we have a choice of who we can allow in our immediate space, right? Think about protecting your peace. And if you are allowing people, whether it's a work situation, a church situation, a home situation, a whatever intimate relationship situation, whatever it is, if that is impacting your peace in a negative way, you need to sit back and reevaluate how you manage that situation,
Mm,
even if it is just for a season.
mm, that's so good. Protect your peace. And that is all what Theo just said just now. That what I got from that is all about holding yourself accountable, to love yourself, to cherish yourself, to honor yourself, and to make sure that you're not the bad company that's corrupting your good character.
Mhm.
Thank you, Theo. Shayla, you want to come in next?
Yeah, I just kind of piggyback on also what you just said, Trey, and in that it's okay to be by yourself. if it means that you will, that would allow you to protect who you really are, and not be surrounded by people that would corrupt your character. Um, so, yeah, I would say that it's okay to be by yourself,
Mm,
but in all actuality, you're not by yourself because God is always with you. So
mm.
it's okay. And eventually you would come along to, you would, like Dana talked about, equally and equally yoked. Eventually you would yoke with those that are meant to be with you.
You see, look at us all along the journey. Sometimes there are times where you need to be by yourself, and I
Yep.
love that what I got from what Shayla said was sometimes you just got to walk away. It's hard. Sometimes you just got to walk away from folks that don't want accountability. If people do not want accountability, those are not your people. Bad company corrupts good character. And you have to understand when you're talking to a person and you're just trying to give them a gentle course correction, right? Constructive criticism is necessary for growth. Constructive criticism is accountability for your decisions, to take a look at that decision that you made got you here. So you don't want to be here, but you got here by your choices. So I'm not slamming you, but I'm telling you, you're coming to me saying that you're in a space where you don't want to be, but your choices got you here. So I'm holding you accountable and you're mad at me, but that's okay. You can be mad. Sheila or Netta?
I would just like to say, I'm thinking as we're all sharing, doing some introspection, looking at me. Where am I? What am I thinking? How am I showing up? And I follow Christ. And
Mm,
in following Christ, I need to look like him. I need to act like him. I need to behave like he would have me to behave. That's the influence I want to have, because I'm believing that if I'm representing him, he's going to connect me with who I'm supposed to be with. And also the ripple effect of that. The fruit should show. We spoke about the fruit of the spirit. I don't want rotten fruit.
mm,
I don't want anything connected to me that's bad and, like repulsive and not encouraging growth. Good things grow. That's
mm.
what I want to be associated with. So just want to encourage others to do some introspection. This is an encouragement to me to do better, to show up better, to be greater and have greater influence just by being who I am. Because the scripture talks about salt, and salt influences everything it comes in contact with. If salt is in it, you're going to know it's there. So I want to be that type of influence, being positive, having an impact that would be generational, going from me to whomever I'm impacting, and then they carry that on. If we have more positive, then we can eliminate and suppress some of the negative we experience just by being who God created us to be and being a reflection of him.
Woo! Ripple effect. Come on now, y'all. The ripple effect.
Yes.
We got to hold each other accountable. Accountability is not punishment. And so many people think when you hold them accountable, you are punishing them. Accountability is not punishing you. Accountability is, like Netta said, taking a look at yourself. Like, you can't see yourself none of us can see ourselves all the time. And this is why we need accountability partners. This is why we need people to give a gentle course correction. This is why we need people to give us constructive criticism, because I can't see me all the time. Sometimes I'm moving at 1,000 miles per hour, and somebody needs to say, slow down because you missed the turn. You on the wrong road, Trey, because you're going 100 miles per hour. You need to bring it down to 55. Slow down. You just missed the sign for your exit. That's where you're supposed to be. You're on the wrong path. It's time to stop. So accountability is not punishment. Come on in, Sheila.
Be your brother or your sister's keeper. You were placed on this earth for that, because we are all in this together, whatever this may be, but we want everything to turn out the way that God intended it to. and your character exudes from your actions, comes out through your words, comes out through your silence. It eats at you internally if your character is not sitting right with you and with others. So take care of yourself, but also take care of the people that are around you, and make sure that you're all doing what's right. We all have that power of discernment. We all know what our moral obligations are, what's right and what's wrong. Don't be a party to something that's wrong or bad for the sake of being a good friend, because a good friend is going to tell you that you're not doing the right thing.
Well, there y'all have it. If you didn't get nothing from us tonight, you was not listening. That's all I'm saying. Listen, a good friend, like Sheila said, will course correct you and risk losing you for a season to save you from yourself. And the last thing I want to say is I'm not going to be quiet with the people I love, with the people that love me. I'm not going to be quiet with the people that are that I allow in my space. I'm not going to be quiet with the people who allow me in their space. I am not going to be quiet. I'm sorry. I am not going to mind my business if it is detrimental to your health. No, I'm not all in your business, but I am not going to mind I'm just going to mind my business person and you look crazy on social media. No, I'm going to mind my business person and you sleep with somebody's husband. It's not in me anymore. And I'm telling y'all, I've grown so much. I am not talking about people behind their back. People come to me and say, such and such, so-and-so, this person. I say, go tell them. What you telling me for? What I'm supposed to do? Because one, I done did this. I done have some family members not speaking to me, and I'm going to speak my truth, and I don't even care. Because you come tell me, I'm going to go say something. I'm not talking behind your back. I'm not hanging in your face while I'm talking about. I can't do it anymore. My integrity, my character, my spirit man won't let me, and I haven't always been this way. And I was in 2 different situations in my family where I said something, and nobody backed me, and I was okay with that. I was all right being on the island by myself. I left the island. Y'all want to be on that island over there, not telling each other stuff or doing y'all? I'm gonna be. I remove my. You know how we said. I always have this thing like all of us were on this island, and if somebody's not doing right, we have to ask them to leave the island. I'm in a space in my life right now where everybody's not doing right. I leave the island. I hire a private jet in my mind, and I go to the Clearport, and I get on a helicopter, and I'm out of here. I'm off that island, and that's where I'm at right now. And bad company does corrupt good character, but good company builds excellence.
Yeah, and sometimes it's all right to be on the island by yourself.
Yes, it is. So. Thank you so much for tuning in. We don't take that lightly. It's a privilege to be in your life. Follow us on Instagram at W2W Show, at W2W Show. Please subscribe to the New Nation Network YouTube channel. And don't forget to share, because sharing is caring. Again, we believe that truth plus transparency equals healing. Remember, you are only as sick as your secrets. It's healing time. We will see you next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Woman to Woman Show on the New Nation Network. Ciao.
Good night.
Sister, I need to walk with me on this journey. Yes, hold me accountable, because sometimes I need to know the truth. Sister, I love you. We're one in the same. Me on this journey, yes, hold me accountable.